Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a new edition of our EKN Debrief. My name is Rob Howden. That's David Cole. This is the SUSA SuperNationals Debrief, essentially part number 2. We'll talk about the senior and masters categories from the race that was held just over a week ago at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. David, last night's show was a great one. Had a couple of great guests to join us, or one great guest in Jeremy Fletcher. But yeah, this is it, right? We're going to wrap up the Supernats right now. It was a heck of a race, a heck of a month. Right?
Essentially, we're wrapping up a month because, again, with all the preview coverage we've done and the event itself was a week long. And now that we've kind of caught back up, we're going to wrap it up this last final show and then kind of move towards 2022 with a lot of great events on tap, a lot of great programs, a lot of great series, a lot of great one-off events, a lot of stuff happening the next year.
All right, let's get started here, folks. This is, again, the 88th episode of our debrief. It is Tuesday, December the 14th. Again, capping off what is essentially, as David said, almost a month's full of coverage wrapped around. Those of you tuning in here, feel free. This is an interactive show. If you're tuned in, feel free to tell us where you are in the comments. Say hello. If you have any questions regarding the event itself and the categories we go through, we'd love to hear from you. So feel free to use the comments if you're in Facebook or YouTube. Let's talk first about our presenting sponsor for this show. Big thank you to, of course, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy offers custom coaching programs for newcomers and experienced racers alike. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. Again, big shout out to Alan Rudolph and the whole crew there. David, let's get into this thing. The race was back December 1st to the 5th. The backstory, of course, is something I think we'll probably unpack a little later on, talking about the fact that it was supposed to be at the Rio. There was issues with Caesars Entertainment. Essentially, I think it was the rodeo finals. It was a big rodeo week down there that kind of pushed things out from the Rio. SUSA having to essentially do some lawyer work and then scramble to push everything from where it was going to be at the Rio, reset all the vendors to get everything out to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I know we did this a bit last night, but just a really quick kind of brief rollover. They did a really good job in my mind, putting together a fantastic race. The venue was great. Track was a bit tight overall, but the pavement they found was probably the best pavement we've raced on ever on a temporary circuit. All in all, shout out to SUSA for doing a great job.
Well, yeah, way better than what the Rio presents itself, because obviously the Rio is a busy parking lot, and this is one that's really used for rallycross or solo driving and other events that doesn't really tear it up. So it's not used for parking semis or RVs like you see at the Rio over throughout that 12-month period, aside from the week that we are there for the Supernationals. So again, it was kind of like a plug and play where they picked everything up from Rio and took it over to Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And again, A+ job by everybody with Neil Strickland, Stan Bernowski, Tom Kutcher, Alexis Kutcher, and everybody that's involved with SUSA staff. Again, getting all those contracts moved over from the Rio over to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I think that was the biggest headache. And again, I think everything kind of worked out, a couple little kinks, but again, you can never have everything perfect. But I think in hindsight, it was a event for sure.
Oh, well, here's the big thing, of course, the major effort. Obviously, you can take the track and drop the track anywhere, right? It's completely redoing the pit area, because that's, of course, this like Tetris game of who needs to be where. And they were able to put that together, which I thought was great. One of the things for me, Dave, go.
I was going to say, as long as you have the space, you can do whatever you want. Like we saw in 2017. And there was a lot of space there. They could have moved the track even down even more. They had a lot of real estate to use up, and they didn't. So that's a positive.
One of the things when they moved the date, obviously we found out that we weren't going to be in November because the World Series of Poker got moved all the way to November at the Rio. So the only option was the first week of December. I was thinking, man, I'm packing my ski underwear. I'm packing the snow toque. It's going to be winter when we get there. Of course, everybody's looking at, weather going in there. And it was like 72. Literally, we had Chamber of Commerce weather for a full week. It was 72 degrees and sunny, 75 and sunny one of the days. It couldn't have been any better in my mind for an early December weekend in Las Vegas.
Without a doubt, clear skies every single day. We saw the fighter crafts going over us, all the airplanes from the Nellis Air Force Base, so we had a clear shot of them as they went over us. And again, the weather was perfect. We had maybe one night where it was a little bit chilly towards the end. I think that was qualifying night. Aside from that, it was perfect weather. Nothing you could add, no clouds. And that's key because we've seen rain before at the SuperNationals, and we did not want that to happen. And wind. No wind.
You mentioned that last night, and the wind.
Yeah.
Let's look at the numbers in the senior categories. 486 in total from David's calculations on drivers who took qualifying times. The Master Shifter class, again, the shifter kart racing kind of resetting a little bit here with the opening of KZ allowing to come in to run with the IME 175 SSE, and it really has kind of taken a stabilization a little bit, more leaning towards the KZ, which I guess is fine. Master Shifter down a bit from 2019, 19 in total in the category, but that's still great. The Masters class in Superkarts USA, David's been interesting to me because it was the SCUSA Pro Tour was really the place for Masters drivers. In fact, SCUSA was one of the only organizations that even gave Masters an opportunity to race at the national level. That's, of course, expanded more recently with USPKS and with the Rock Cup program. SCUSA's series kind of dropping down a little bit. We had 64 back in 2019. I say only, but only 38 this particular year. Still a great field, almost a full field of 44, but that's kind of where SCUSA has gone, right? Even on the Pro Tour, those Masters numbers, which were once big, have kind of dwindled down a little bit.
Yeah, and I mentioned this about X30 Junior. We had a lot of international drivers not there this year, so I think that's part of it as well. And we see a lot of international drivers in the X30 Master division for sure. So I think you could bump that number probably up near 50 with international drivers. And again, there's still some guys from the U.S. and Canada that didn't take part. They had their programs that they stuck to it throughout the season again because they weren't sure exactly. Again, nobody knew for sure if the SuperNats was going to happen.
That's it.
I mean, everybody. There were still people that. I mean, we were on board no matter what. We were ready to go.
We're locked and loaded.
SCUSA was too. It's just a matter of you didn't know with the pandemic situation and how things were going to work out. But I think that number is, and I think we'll see some more master shifters move up now with the allowance of KZ. I think you got a lot of guys in the international field that want to come and be part of it. We saw that category when it was G1 have 2 flights, of practice and qualifying, where the numbers were close to what that 60 number range that we saw in X30 Masters in 2019.
Well, and where Master Shifter and X30 Masters was down, K100. 50 drivers the first year, 93 drivers entered into the race this year, David. It made it almost impossible for us to do our work trying to pick predict the race winners, but the top 5. But 93 in K100 senior, 87 in X30 senior as well, I think, which was big. Essentially 2 full grids for X30 senior, and then 50 drivers in Pro Shifter. David, there's the answer to your question right there. 39 2 years ago as a combined Pro 1, Pro 2, right. 50 all total in that Pro Shifter class.
And that wasn't, again, that wasn't counting the KZ drivers that we had. So that was Pro 1, Pro 2, plus we had our KZ. So you add all that up back together. And so it's good numbers there. And again, K100 senior, to go back to that, this is the first year that it opened up to that 88 mark, or the 88 mark, that we like to call.
But you got to go 88 because if you go to 98, they always expect 10%. They always expect 10% cancellations.
I think this is a category we could go to 120.
Let's do it.
It's just a matter of time. The SCUSA staff, they're on track for 12 hours a day. So if you add one session for one, you got to remove it for another. That's something we saw with X30 Junior. We saw that removed, only go down to 1 session. So, we'll see what happens on how things progress for 2022 SuperNationals.
Indeed. So again, great numbers, 486 in total. We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network.
History, success, family. Those are the 3 words that describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation is located just outside of Indianapolis, and they have provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers throughout their near 6 decades of business. Comet's online store features everything you need continually adding new parts to their product line. Comet Kart Sales attends dozens of karting events every year, offering trackside service for racers and families. Karting veterans Mark Dismore Jr. and Gary Lawson provide one-on-one driver coaching and tuning assistance for each trackside customer. The engine building business, Comet Racing Engines, has won countless major events and championships over decades of karting, and they continue to offer the best trackside service in the industry. Make sure you head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be a part of the Comet Kart Sales family today.
Acceleration Kart Racing is your first and only stop on the internet for karts, parts, and the safety gear you need to get you on the track. Visit shopakr.com for a great selection of karting equipment on a user-friendly website. Acceleration Kart Racing has aligned itself with many of the top manufacturers and distributors in the sport to ensure all the latest equipment is available to you, the racer. With over 20 years in business and customer support available 6 days a week, you can be confident about getting the right parts at the right price when you need them. Be sure to visit shopakr.com today or stop by their headquarters in Las Vegas. Make sure to follow Acceleration Kart Racing on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest specials and new arrivals. Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. All right, David, let's jump into the race report now. We did our paddock pass last night, kind of touched on things. We don't need to do that again here. So let's jump into the race report. And today's race report, throughout the categories, all 5, presented by Trinity Karting Group. The Trinity Karting Group is your first step on the ladder to racing success. Based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, they literally have a track in their backyard and a controlled environment to develop your skills. Trinity Karting Group flattens out the steep learning curve with a professional staff that will put you on the right path. The focus is driver development, and they compete on the local, regional, and national levels, including the Superkarts USA Pro Tour and United States Pro Kart Series. They have new and used packages available, and they are your Midwest source for Kart Republic chassis and IAME engines. Visit them at teamtkg.com or call 513-421-4463. That's 513-421-4463. All right, David, let's jump into the Master Shifter category. Those of you who may be new to our debriefs, I'll throw out the headline for the category. David will fill in a lot of information at that point. We'll give you the hard charger as well. Lots to talk about here in the Master Shifter class, because one of the cool things was kind of an arrival of one of the guys that we've expected to see. Here's the headline. Young gun Wimsett scores second career SuperNationals win. Young gun.
It's a familiar name. That's someone that we saw 2014, I believe it was. Yes, correct. Oh man, I got to pull up my thing. 2014, scoring the SuperNationals victory in the S1 category. And remember that had the extra $10,000 for a Pro Tour competitor winning at the SuperNationals. So he actually walked away with $20,000 that year. It was 2013. That was the same year as the Rotax Grand Finals at NOLA. Yeah. So sorry. Yes, it's 2013. So that was a while ago. It was 8 years ago.
Bought himself a brand new hunting jacket with that money.
So
insulated, of course.
So again and again, with the way the age rule works, if you turn 30 in that year, you get to move up to Masters. Well, he actually just celebrated his 30th birthday this past weekend, so wasn't even 30 when they ran at the SuperNationals. But so technically he is a young gun, because he's now the youngest driver in the Masters category as of right now until we get into the 2022 season. So we'll see some young guns maybe move up again next year. But to begin with the race report in the class itself, it was actually Jordan Musser who has been striving to get that first SuperNationals victory, who came out and scored the pole position. I believe it was his first career pole position at the SuperNationals. So first time he was quickest qualifier there. Went out and won the opening heat race, had Ryan Kinnear behind him along with Joe Rook, as we had Wimsett retire in that main event. What was the problem again? I'm trying to remember.
He ripped the shifter off.
He ripped the shifter off. That's right. He was using the Josh Lane titanium shifter, trying to save
Oh,
weight, even though
he was doing the master shifter.
it's all that hunting muscle, right? It's that hunting
Literally
muscle.
broke the shifter right off, though.
And it happens. We've seen that. Normally we see it down below, but it was just one of those freak breaks that can happen. And so he was among those in contention. So he retired. So he scored a 15-pointer on that race, came back and actually won the next 2 heat races, starting from the outside of the front row. So put Musser to second in both of those races, and then Ryan Kinnear in third.
Yeah.
So that slotted Wimsett in the 5th position for the main event, with Musser on the pole position and Ryan Kinnear on the outside of the front row.
And so that was it, right? We were wondering how long it was going to take Ryan to get himself to the front. It ended up being probably Joey. It ended up being a pretty good race for Jordan Musser and Ryan Kinnear up front. Man, they were kind of going back at it. Jordan set the pace for a majority of the race, if I'm not mistaken.
It was really a 4-car fight. Really, to be honest, you had Musser getting the whole shot, leading the way ahead of Kinnear, and then by I think lap 2 or 3, Wimsett had gotten into third, just ahead of John Crow, who said he sucked terribly in the nighttime races. So he was happy that they were racing under the sun and the hot track was hot and greasy and ready to go, and he was able to keep pace. Again, a Supermaster driver, able to keep pace with the 29-year-old and the other younger master drivers. So,
and he was, and John did say that he was kind of biding his time there, P4, just kind of seeing what was going to happen, right? Yeah.
One guy that wasn't was Wimsett. He was really hungry, and that's one thing I want to ask him, because he looked like he was more of the aggressive one out of the 4 drivers there. He actually climbed up in turn 4 on top of Kinnear at one point, and it looked like they were going to get hooked. Unfortunately for both of them, they were able to separate and continue on with no damage, but that gave Musser a little bit of an advantage, but they were able to reel it back in. And then Kinnear went after Musser. I want to say within about 5 laps to go.
Now, just so you know, folks, Joey Wimsett is in studio tonight. We'll talk to him when we're all done with the wrap up here. I believe Kinnear was able to get to the lead at one point, as you said, in the late going, because that kind of what set things up. Kinnear went to the lead, and it was another overtaking maneuver by Jordan Musser coming out of the chicane and trying to get to the inside of turn number 10, which is the left hand that leads onto the back straightaway. He made a pretty aggressive move. They kind of had some contact, and Wimsett was, got a good run outside and just did the over under, and boom, he was gone.
I actually think he went between both of them. I think he might have went between them wide. I think Musser went wide, Kinnear went shallow, and Joey just kind of went in between and split it, made it a Wimsett sandwich there. And then basically from there was able to put down some solid laps, because again, Kinnear and Musser were kind of going at each other once again. Didn't really want to work together, something we've seen in previous years as well too. And again, it wasn't the quickest kart on the racetrack, but Wimsett able to get away to a 1.4 second victory at the checkered flag.
And Joey did say that. I think we talked to him afterwards. He did say that he wasn't sure. He wasn't the fastest guy there. He was going to have to really work for it, because they had stepped up a little bit, and he was right there, P3. We know Crow was strong. He was able to get through and get that win, though, a big win for Joey. Second on the racetrack, though, David, Jordan Musser ends up P2, but after things were said and done, brought him back around. I think I was wrong in announcing it, because they hadn't sent me the results yet on my phone, and nobody said anything, so I just figured it was status quo. Jordan got a pushback bumper, dropped him down to the 4th spot, right?
Yeah, that moved Kinnear, who had fast lap of the race, into the 2nd spot, moving John Crow into 3rd, adding another podium to his stellar CV at the SuperNationals. That dropped Musser down to 5th, and then Bermuda driver Scott Skitchy Barnes able to score the 5th position to land on the podium, I believe, for the first time ever at the SuperNationals.
Yeah, Skitchy just missed it back in 2019, was closing in the final laps and just wasn't able to get it done. Again, this time he had a really good battle with Joe Rook, and they're under the same tent, right? They're both with Hardin Motorsports Group. Skitchy was on the TB kart. Joe, of course, with Race Liberanti and the Race Factory machine. They had a really, really good battle. Finally, Skitchy able to get by and get that position.
And Rook actually came in underweight, so they miscalculated the fuel consumption, and actually came in underweight, so he was relegated back to the 14th. Hard charger of the race ended up being Ben Schermerhorn. He was up 9 positions to the 8th spot, so a good run for him. Again, he runs that limited schedule, not a lot of races, so sure. I'm sure the 24 lapper was a bit of bit of a struggle for him.
Especially on a tighter course with a
Yeah.
shifter cart. It's hard stuff and tight. That's how Masters rips off the
Well, maybe that's why Joey broke it. He was just not used to that, that shifter lever,
Yeah, good enough. Speaking of Joey Wims, I think he's hanging around. Let's bring Joey into the studio right now. He is now a 2-time SuperNationals race winner. Joey, thank you so much. Joey Wims, thank you so much for joining us here on the Debrief.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you're a little over a week out from it. Let's just, as you look back overall, I can't say that you would have been surprised by the speed. You have what it takes to get there, but some pretty good drivers in the master shifter class.
Yeah, it was kind of difficult going into it. I haven't done much racing since 2019 Supernats. I did a club race this year and then the rock race at Pat's Acres. So it's kind of knew I'd be competitive because obviously I know my speed's good, but you just really don't know till you get there and kind of see how everyone else is doing and then how the cards will kind of fall.
So what made you come? Was there a challenge? Did someone dare you, or what was the reason?
No, I just wanted to do it. I'm getting more responsibility at work, and just me and Dad kind of sat down and I knew to run pro. I obviously wanted to go run pro and do it, but my preparation's not there. Being in the go-kart to go run with those guys, it definitely is an undertaking, and I wasn't prepared to go do that. So I told Dad, let's go have fun. Let's go run Masters and see if we can enjoy this, a little bit more laid back, a little bit less stress, and threw together a program. I borrowed both my motors and had Rainey just do them at the track on Tuesday and see how it kind of goes. I did a half a day with both those motors, just make sure they ran beforehand, and that was it.
Yeah, under the tent with Don Gilbo and the DRT crew on the DR chassis. Overall, did you feel like you rolled off pretty good? The basic setup was there? Because obviously we know you had the speed getting the pole position and qualifying.
Yeah,
almost.
Oh, yeah.
Almost. That's right. Pardon me. Almost.
The biggest struggle I had was I was getting tires from Dawn under the tent, and I put those on, and the cart felt amazing. And then every time I went to the race tires, I felt really bad. No front grip, no nothing. But the only thing I kind of hoped was everyone else was on the same batch of tires, and we're all going through the same things. And I heard Kinnear was kind of having similar issues in practice with tires and this and that. So honestly, I did no chassis changes. I did one click of caster on Wednesday, and other than that, I didn't touch it for the rest of the week.
Let me ask you this, because one of the things, as I just stepped over myself, but you end up qualifying P2, but I believe you hole shot at all 3 races to get into the lead in turn 1. Is it something that's your specialty? I don't recall in your early days that was one of the things you always did, but you got the line really well all 3 races.
Yeah, it was good, and the KZs are honestly really easy to start. So it's compared to Honda or even, Rock's similar, but the KZs, you basically floor it and dump it. And everyone in the Masters class kind of told me Muster's weakness was starting. So you kind of knew that was kind of where you had to get it and go. And that's kind of what I tried to do.
So dominating speed in the heat races, you broke the shifter to go back to 15th in the first one. You win the next 2, essentially going away to a certain extent. You find yourself P3, you start 5th, you found yourself 3rd. As that race was developing, were you biding your time? Did they find some extra speed? Were you kind of balked up behind them a little bit, or was it a genuine struggle?
Honestly, Rainey was trying to get me to try a different gear ratio, and I know Kinnear did it for the final and warm up, and it definitely seemed like they were on a different ratio than me. So where I was quick, they were slow, and where I was slow, they were very fast. And it seemed everywhere they were fast was in all the passing zones. So I kind of struggled a bit to honestly, I could catch them, but once I got to them, I really couldn't make those passes. Obviously, I jumped Kinnear trying to make those passes, because they would kind of gap me at the end of all those straightaways, and then I try to make it up in braking zones, and it just was definitely tough on that track to pass.
So let's talk about the opportunity when it arose. You had to be in the right place, right? If you weren't there, you probably would have been done. What were your thoughts when Jordan tried to make the pass, and when all of a sudden the seas parted and you found yourself going down the back straightaway by yourself?
Yeah, when I jumped Kinnear, it actually gave Musser a bit of a gap, and I was trying to catch Kinnear to pass him again. I saw we were catching Musser, and I'm like, okay, these two are probably going to go at each other. I've kind of seen all year they've seemed to do that. So I was kind of just biting my time and waiting to see kind of what unfolded, and then Kinnear passed Musser, and I was like, oh, Musser's probably going to try to go back. So I kind of just waited patiently for a lap, and then it all kind of unfolded in front of me, and they all went Musser tried to go narrow and pass, and Kinnear tried to keep under on the exit in the last corner, and it kind of opened up and gave me the opportunity.
So what does this mean? You end up getting the victory, which is awesome. You got the one in 2013, as David had said. So what's that? 8 years later, you end up getting a Masters shifter win. Are we gonna? Did it whet your appetite to potentially do some Pro Tour racing next year?
To me, with work right now, it's really tough. And, even preparation to go run pro and do this, it's all kind of in the schedule. If I can go race, I will. And if I can, I can't. I'd love to go get in better shape and go be in a go-kart every week and go run pro next year's SuperNats. But if it's not in the cards, it's not. So right now I'm just kind of playing it day by day. I have a go-kart up here at home, and when I go drive, I'll go drive. And if I can go race, I'll go race.
The trials and tribulations of the working man.
Yeah, getting old sucks.
It's a true master story, though, right?
That is
exactly. My boss is real mean guy, my dad, so there's no taking off work. Oh, Dad, I can't go do this for a week. SuperNats was about it, and we had to drive almost straight through home to get back to work Tuesday.
So when does the transition happen that he retires, you become the boss, and you can race whenever you want?
Yeah, I'll probably not be able to race at all when I become boss, but
that's the real side of it, right?
Yeah, if I'm boss, no one else will work. So that's the issue. If I'm gone, nothing will get done.
Overall, dude, just a great performance for you. It was great to have you out there, and I have to think that you've won it before. Compare the differences of the big win back in 13 and this win here.
It's different. Back then you're expected to win. I had a great weekend at the grand finals the weekend before, and you're on this high and you're expected to do well. You're getting go-karts, for free, your factory, you know what I mean? It's very different. This was a very different realization where you're coming to it with just you and your old man and borrowed motors and throwing together a program. And it was definitely in 13, it was bigger because you have the national championship. But this one was kind of more sweet because of the fact, you drive down there with Dad. Your dad's your mechanic. You spend the week together and you kind of get to enjoy it a little bit more.
What's it like? Because you were there working with Danilo Rossi, you've worked with Foray, you worked with other CRG drivers back when you were racing CRG. What's it like to work with these world champions and really the factory guys that are involved in building these chassis?
It's very different, honestly, because it's amazing in America because all these kids want to buy these super tuners and think that this is the trick and everything's this secret. I'm going to go hire this mechanic or do this, be on this team because they have all the secrets. Honestly, all of it's hard work. These guys, like with Danilo, you keep the go-kart stock. You look at your driving every time on the data, and it's there's no secret formula with them. All of it's they put in the homework at home. So when they come to these races, they're prepared, and 90% of it's on you. And that's all I can say with Danilo. He's so smart at being able to watch you and say, hey, it's not the go-kart, it's you. You suck, or hey, you're doing good. We might need to make this change. Where that's the biggest thing I could say is the difference between those guys and most people here is they always think that there's a secret. And honestly, at the end of the day, if you drive it well, the material's good, you're going to have results. Yeah.
Well, listen, we've seen this before when a father-son got into a pickup truck and drove into a racetrack, and that was AJ Myers and his dad coming in to win at the SuperNats in Newcastle. Love the story of you and your dad rolling down, coming in, winning the SuperNats, packing up, heading back to Oregon. Congratulations, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Joey Wimsett, thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you roll. We appreciate it. I know you're at the hotel room. Thank you so much. David, what a story, right? Again, great master shifter story. Joey Wimsett, super impressive. Go rolling down with his dad on the wrenches. Of course, you got Danilo Rossi there with DRT Racing and the whole thing. But I like what he said right there. And it's really a lesson for every race kart driver, car driver, I don't care, especially every young racer. It's all about the hard work. You got to put in the hard work, right? There it is right there. Yeah.
There's a guy who knows about hard work. He's worked with a number of different drivers, number of different teams. And again, like Joey said, the material is the material. They've done their homework at the factory. They've done all the testing. They know what works and what doesn't. Yeah, there might be a little bit of different changes here and there that depending on conditions and the tire brand that you're using. But aside from that, hard work is going to pay off ahead of any other kind of voodoo magic that you're going to have.
That's exactly it. It's voodoo magic. That's cool. Again, congratulations to Joey Wimsett. And again, all told, as we said, Ryan Kinnear ends up second, John Crow third, Jordan Musser in fourth with that pushback, and Scotty Barnes from Bermuda on the podium. We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. It all started in 1994 when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years, and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Arguela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Motor mounts are critical to producing 100% of the power your engine has to get you on the podium each and every time. Odenthal Racing Products provide the best motor mounts in the karting market today. Odenthal Racing Products is a family-owned and operated business with decades of karting experience, providing products with unmatched quality and value for the karting market. Our newest product is the Pro Series mount for two-cycle engines, available in 0, 5, and 8-degree angles, providing a rigid structure to help keep vibration to a medium with fins underneath to help dissipate heat off the engine. Our 4-cycle EZ set is one of the most popular mounts for the Briggs & Stratton 206 power plant. Multiple mounting holes provide the most adjustability, depending on your chassis and seat placement. To ensure a tight fit to your chassis, ORP wedge clamps get the job done, featuring a number of updates to its design for a lower profile and lighter weight. The clamps are available from 28mm to 32mm in both standard and Euro sizes. Head to OdenthalRacing.com and find a dealer near you. Odenthal Racing Products, made in the USA. Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. All right, let's continue with the race report brought to you by Trinity Karting Group. We'll jump into the X30 Masters class, and here is the headline. 4th to 1st in photo finish for Derek Wang's first SuperNationals triumph. What a huge event. Those last 2 laps were crazy. I'm going to go to bat for myself in me screwing up the second last lap call, because I just rewatched it. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But David, one of the things that happened, the minute we knew that the thing came out, the entry list, and we saw that one name, we knew that this guy was going to be good out of the gate, and he was. He qualified on pole. Renato Jader David, RJD. Bottom line is, wherever he goes, you know he's going to be in the fight for a master. He's one of the best Masters drivers in the world.
In the world. I mean, he's won Rock
Cup
Super Final. He's won, multiple times at USPS, won multiple times at SKUSA Pro Tour. He's won at the Super Nationals. So this is just a guy you always have to put on a map, and he was the class of the field the entire week. He set fast time in qualifying, went out and led pretty much, I think it was every single lap in all 3 heat races.
Yeah,
Never relinquished that top spot. He had Derek Wang behind him during the opening 2 heat races after qualifying 3rd. Martin Pierce started on the second, or on the outside of the front row. Didn't quite get the good starts. I think that was one of Renato's advantages, was on the pole position and then punching it whenever he wanted to. And I think he just kept catching Martin Pierce off guard, and that would kind of drop Pierce back a little bit. He did catch up to it on the 3rd heat race to finish 2nd. That moved Wang down to 3rd. But again, Renato Jader David in the 1st spot on the pole position, Derek Wang 2nd, Martin Pierce in 3rd, and then Matt Johnson sitting there in 4th, who, we talked to him on Saturday night, or at least I did while he was going back up to his hotel room. He's like, the starts are what was killing him. Martin wouldn't punch off. And so he was stuck there behind him. He'd lose a number of positions with the inside lane going through. But again, very similar starting spots, except this time he was behind Wang with Pierce on the inside of him. So kind of mixed up things a little bit. And essentially it was these 4 drivers that we saw up front all race long in the main event.
Yeah. Front 2 rows, Jacques David and Wang on the front row, Pierce and Johnson row number 2, Bonner Moulton in his 24th Supernational start in the P5 position. We'll give a little shout out. What?
Do we say what he did? You don't know?
I don't think I do. No, I don't know what happened.
He spun out on the pace lap.
It was him that spun out?
It was him that spun out.
Wow.
I can't confirm or deny, but I'm gonna say that.
Wow.
Because he was at the back of the field when they got the green flag. So I'm pretty sure it was him that spun out.
Well, that sucks. Well, all right.
It does.
There you go.
It's considering we picked him in our predictions to be in the top 5.
That's right. So Jardin Davy gets the whole shot. Matt Johnson, really the guy on the move from the get-go, was able to get a good start, settle in there, and literally by lap 4, he had taken the lead already by lap 4, and I think I had about over a second lead at the halfway point over Martin Pierce. So a really good start for Matt. And honestly, it looked to me like it was Matt Johnson's day. He was that good out of the gate.
It did. I mean, I think it was probably maybe 1.5 at 1.3 second advantage that he had. And it's like, I mean, I'm out there taking photos, you kind of watching it. You're like, I don't think anything's going to happen. But then suddenly, Pierce and Renato Jauder-David and even Wang started closing in, inching. And then once you get within like 2 or 3 tenths, that's when you close up really hard. And then that's when the fun began.
Yeah, that's about it. I will say that it was obviously this battle with the 4 guys up front. Casey Cook had P5 at the halfway point, but then got kind of reeled in by Danilo Ramalho. Ramalho able to get by to get the spot. He ends up in the 4th spot overall, but Ramalho was able to catch back up. You're right, though, David. I'm just looking at my notes. I literally just watched this. Top 3 super tight with 5 to go. And then things kind of started to spool up. We were wondering what was going to happen, right? Final lap. And the whole tightness of the chicane, that 9A, 9B was pretty wild. What I've got, so essentially what happens is last lap, the second last lap, which I called as a last lap, could have been a last lap of any other race.
Could have been.
Now, I'll set myself up here. I just rewatched it.
Yeah.
This is what happened. On the up top, they have 23 of 24. In my mind, that means 20. And what we do in the Road to Indy is 23 are done. There's one more lap still to go. They're saying they're counting lap 23. I thought it was the last lap. It was the penultimate lap. I screwed that up myself. Well, we got 2 laps. But the thing about it was that made me obviously not even judge myself is that last lap. They were just as hectic as it would have been the last lap. They weren't lining up.
The second to last lap. They were battling because Pierce started to defend. He went after it. Yeah, he got the move. He made the move on Johnson and got the position. And again, like you said, began the defensive line already. Again, shuffling up behind him, and then came across the line leading. But then you can only run the defensive line so many times before the over under is going to catch you, and that's when things kind of matriculated with Johnson getting in there.
Well, remember, they came into the chicane. Jauder-David went inside
Renato,
Pierce.
that's what I meant. Yes.
And then Johnson tried to do the over under, and they were 3 wide coming out of turn number 9.
Yes.
Unbelievable. Obviously, on the inside, Jauder has the least drive, so he's held back a bit. Johnson and Pierce are rolling, and out of nowhere, usually, of course, he's able to go full through 9A and 9B. Gets the best run out was Derek Wang. He tucks to the inside. And for those of you who wonder, kind of, we struggled figuring out who it was coming. We had a couple of 20-inch monitors, and where the sun was, I had no idea. We could hardly see. David, you were beside us. We're like trying to look as close as we could to the screens. It was almost impossible for us to figure who each guy was. But they ended up coming down the back straightaway, and literally Wang had it the minute he got to the inside of Jauder, because Jauder was
Renato was in the middle.
He was in the middle, and Johnson was on the outside. That's right.
And then Wang went to the inside of both of them. So Renato's kind of sitting there in the middle, like, what do I do? He's kind of like the meat in the sandwich of, I can't really go anywhere, because as they went to the final corner, Johnson just kept the outside line. Again, didn't pinch Renato down too hard, but still kept the outside line going while Wang had the inside line. But then Martin Pierce almost made it 4 wide at the line because he did the over under to try to and try to get by all 3 of them at the line. So it was a great photo finish. Go ahead at the line.
I'm just gonna here's the little bit that I have. Had Wang not been able to clear Jotter, because once he got by, he kind of moved a little bit to the right to be able to get a better run. Had he been pinched down at the bottom, I think it's still Matt Johnson's, because I think Matt would have had the big run around the outside. It was only 78 thousandths of a second. But the fact that Wang had just got by enough that he was able to kind of come around to get a better arc coming into the corner and through is what I think was able to give him the win.
It was all about that momentum again, that the carry through 9A and 9B to get him down the straightaway. And again, it's kind of like what we saw with Harvick. Harvick had just enough down the straightaway to inch by Tovo to be able to get to the line first, and then Tovo was unable to hold the over under. And again, anybody but I don't think if it was anybody but Johnson, they would have been in the wall, I think, as they crossed the line, because Johnson basically was dirt tracking it out there in the marbles, holding on, trying to get to that start finish line as quick as he could. And again, it was only 78 thousandths separating the two at the line. And then was Pierce third? I think Pierce ended up crossing the line in the 3rd position. So he was able to get by Renato there at the finish line to get across in the 3rd position. But a jump start penalty actually dropped Renato from 4th to 5th. So that might have, been one of the things they were watching with these X30 Masters starts. And unfortunately,
he had 3 really good starts. Maybe they were like, listen, maybe 2 good.
And again, it wasn't much that, he was behind. It was 79,000 or 69,000 separating Pierce and Renato. So it was even close between those two. So you had 4 drivers crossing the line within 0.2 of a second.
Yeah, and Danilo Romalho was about a second and a half back, having got by Stacey Cook, and was kind of by himself on the racetrack. As I said, with the penalty, it put Jotter behind him. With what was it? Was it probably a 3-second penalty, David?
Yeah, it's 3-second penalty.
Okay, yeah. So then it moved. Yeah, so Romalho goes to second, and Jotter back into the 5th position. All in all, what about Hard Charger, David, in that class?
Yeah, Hard Charger, Pistol Pete Vetter started in the 34th position, ended up moving up 14 positions to the 20th spot. So his first SuperNationals. He
had a crap week.
Got ran over a couple times. Yeah. So again, he was initiated into the SuperNationals, got the initial crash damage out of the way. And then again, was able to come back and drive himself into a top 20 finish. I want to say he was actually following, Bonner Moulton was able to get ahead of him at one point. So he was able to do a little bit of schooling, learn what, the quick way around the racetrack. So a good run for him. And again, first SuperNationals, that's all you can ask for is to get the checkered flag on Super Sunday.
So let's just wrap this section with a little bit of props to Derek Wang. We talk a lot about Jordan Musser and all the championships that he's won, all the big races he's won, 4-time Rotax Max Challenge champion here in the U.S., representing, represent himself and Rotax around the world. Listen, Derek Wang, the body work he's put together over the last dozen years or more, David, just unbelievable. Pro Tour champion, Rotax, Rock Super Final, Rotax. The amount of races this guy's been to represent the United States and races he's won, to be able to get this one here, right? It's just to have that Super Nats. Same thing we'll talk about with Ryan Norwood, but to have that Super Nats, that little check mark on the side, that really rounds a career up pretty nicely.
It does. It's something, again, like we talked about, Jordan Musser doesn't have. A number of other drivers don't have that victory in their on the trophy case. And this is his 10th time right now representing. He's actually in Bahrain right now. This is the 10th time he's representing Team USA over there at the Rotax Grand Finals. So we're really hoping to see him pull it off in DD2 Master. That'll be a crazy couple of weeks for him.
Wouldn't that be? Yeah. And listen, and we'll give a shout out longtime tuner Stepanova Nikhil as well. Kind of it's a twofer, right? Derek gets the win, but to have Stepanova on the wrenches again, as he has been for many, many years. And let's be real. Let's not slide by this. But on the podium, I'm having this, emotional interview with Derek.
Emotional. And he's not emotional. He's not
There was
emotional.
yeah, he's not. There wasn't much emotion.
But he was
there.
about one thing.
There was a little bit, but yes, he was about absolutely ripping into David Cole. I believe the quote was the 5th best assistant editor or something like that at eKartingNews.com. David Cole, of course, did not pick Derek Wang in his top 5. And apparently, Derek taking that to a little personally, David.
Well, it's good. That's what we wanted. We said that from the get-go when we did the outlaps. We were like, take it personal. Maybe it'll help motivate you to that victory. And I want to motivate. I would like to say you're welcome, Derek.
There you go. I'm sure there's a Christmas card on the way. I'm sure of it.
He should send me one. That'd be great.
He probably should. Derek Wang, folks, big winner in X30 Masters at this year's SuperNationals. We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. "2019 marked a new era for the Cartlift brand. The company that Tim Coyne owned and operated since 2003, one with a long tradition of quality products for the karting industry, was purchased by Ted Fashing and his business, Stockholm Karting Center, in October of 2019. Stockholm Karting Center Inc. has added the Cartlift brand to their very successful Triple T Race Products brand that has been fabricating parts for the drag racing industry for the past 25 years. We're small enough where the owner answers the phone and every call is important to us, but we're large enough to get the job done. We pride ourselves on the quality and personal customer service that we provide on the phone or at the track. Cartlift stands, as you know, can be found at racetracks all over the country. If you race alone, or if you're a parent with a cadet or junior driver, let our one-man winch lift make your race days easier. Position the hooks under the rear bumper, push the button, and your cart is raised into position and you're ready to go. We have traditional cart stands, single upright storage stands, cart lift stackers for storing 2 carts at once, tire changers, and skid plate kits. Cart lift stands are available at the finest kart shops around the country, or you can order online at cartlift.com. For more information, give us a call at 877-777-8020. That's 877-777-8020. Get a cart lift and leave your crew at home. We don't just drive trucks because they're dependable workhorses that let us tackle icy roads all winter and tow a boat on the summer weekends. We also drive trucks because they're fun. And the Cooper Discoverer Rugged Trek is a truck tire made with fun in mind. Like any Cooper tire, the Rugged Trek is designed to do everything you need it to do. It's got stone blockades to protect your tires off-road and whisper grooves for smooth, quiet street driving. But with its in-your-face design, like the dual sidewalls that let you choose between 2 aggressive looks, the Cooper Discoverer Rugged Trek is also a tire that shows off your truck's wild side. It's the tire that's off-road party on the outside and dependable all-purpose Cooper design on the inside. Learn more at coopertire.com. Go with the Coopers. Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. All right, continuing with the race report brought to you by Trinity Karting Group. We'll move into KA100 Senior. Again, 93 drivers in total entering this event. And here is the title, Redemption for Lemke after 110 weeks.
Unreal. I mean, again, this, we saw it in 2019 with this category. Even the first one in 2018, it was down to the wire, last lap action, this and that. We thought Dakota Pesek was going to win it. He ended up going in the wall with 2 corners to go, and then Stephen Barrows came through. Last year, Lemke on the pole position gets wrecked on the opening lap, fights his way all the way through, gets to the lead on the final lap, but loses the victory due to a pushback bumper penalty, handing the win over to Paulie Massimino. So a lot of different drama unfolded in the opening 2 events of this category. This event was, I think it tops it all pretty much the way that last lap unfolded. But
before we get into the chaos of that last lap. Let me put one name out, David, then you can talk about qualifying in the heat races. All weekend, other than Sunday, it was nothing but Cole Morgan. Unbelievable. What a great performance throughout the weekend for Cole.
Yeah, set fast time in qualifying and showed the way in his 3 heat races. Again, this category doing the heat flight format. Yep. So he was able to best in those 3 heat races. The other heat winners went to Thomas Annunziata, Carson Morgan, who ended up qualifying in 2nd spot, and then Brandon Lemke pulling off a heat win of his own. So 4 different drivers with heat wins in the 6 different heat races that we did have. So we still had a number of different names who hadn't won a heat that looked to be in contention, looked to be able to contend for the victory. But ended up being with Morgan on the front row, with Thomas Annunziata on the outside, Carson Morgan and Lemke filling out row 2, and then Trey Brown and Blake Nash filling up row 3. So again, 6 different drivers who all had an opportunity to contend for the victory. It began, though, with 2 drivers breaking away as Cole Morgan and Thomas Annunziata were able to get away. Essentially, it looked like it was going to be these 2 drivers that were going to decide the victory. But then we had a red flag on lap 15 due to some contact coming out of turn 1 heading into turn 2. So that kind of shut things down and regrouped everybody and brought everybody back together.
Press the reset button.
Yeah.
9-lap dash for the SuperNationals race win, right? That's essentially what it ended up being.
So when that red flag hit, it was, okay, who's going to be in contention? And all of a sudden we saw Connor Zillage near the top 10. And what happened to Connor at the beginning of the main event, he was backwards in turn 1 on the opening lap, was literally backwards into the wall, had to restart, was dead last, and kept fighting his way forward, and was up to P12, I want to say, by the red flag. So after they restarted, I think it took maybe 2 or 3 laps before he was into the top 5.
And that's when things started settling in. We saw a bunch of different guys up front. Of course, Cole Morgan was up front, as you said. We knew that Annunziata was in there. There was Zillage fighting out there. Carson Morgan was in there as well. There was a bunch of drivers that fought themselves into that race, and then all of a sudden, we're getting to it at the end. Thomas Annunziata makes a great move. He ends up going to the lead, and then kind of all hell breaks loose in turn number 1.
And he had a pretty good lead for a little bit. And then then the Morgan brothers and Zillage kind of were like, hey, let's not be stupid and work together to kind of close back in on him. But even as the white flag flew, and this is kind of the start of all the chaos,
that's it.
They were still kind of close to Annunziata, but Zillage, who was coming across in 4th, was trying to get under, who was it? Which Morgan brother was it? I think it was Carson Morgan.
Yes.
As Carson Morgan was trying to get under Cole Morgan. So essentially they were going 3 wide into turn 1.
And Carson was pinching. He was defending pinching down too, right?
Yes. As he was going under Cole Morgan, though.
As he was going under Cole, yeah.
And so as they dove deep into turn 1, they actually made contact, Zillage and Carson Morgan, and went into Thomas Annunziata, who was doing the normal racing line and is hitting the apex. So the contact of that put Carson Morgan on top of Annunziata and pushed them wide. This allowed Zillage to take the lead, with Cole Morgan pushing him through to avoid his wrecking brother and Thomas Annunziata. And then that carried over.
You keep going.
All right. So then that took you to turn 4. That was where I believe Zillage went in with a defensive line, held the inside line. And then as they were coming around, it was Morgan on his bumper along with Mateus Fernandez, who joined the party as well too. He was kind of in the mix early on, didn't really do much as Annunziata and Morgan ran away. But when the red flag came up, he was one of those drivers that was looking to make moves. Unfortunately, he climbed the left rear of Cole Morgan, and that sent Cole Morgan into Connor Zillage. And as we talked about yesterday with the Fletcher and Elio Meza getting that little kink, they all pushed into the same kink. All 3 of them.
I thought that was Carson that pushed wide and essentially left.
He pushed wide. No, Carson was out in turn 1. It was Cole Morgan.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't it? Did I do it wrong? No,
I don't know.
It was Cole Morgan.
Okay, I was sure it was Carson, because didn't Connor slap him in the face a little bit?
Yeah. No, it was Cole Morgan. It was Cole Morgan.
Okay.
I mean, we can go back because hold on, I'm trying to see who finished because one of them finished.
I didn't get a chance to watch the whole thing.
I'm trying to see. Yeah. Where am I?
Carson was last. Carson finished 43rd.
Right, but I think he had 20. Yeah, he had 24 laps. Where Cole Morgan,
Right.
sat there with Zillage after he got smacked by him. So yeah.
Right.
So so I have the names right. So
Yeah.
Cole Morgan.
Yeah.
So
Dan
Carson
Schloss
Morgan
was
turn
Cole.
1, Cole Morgan turn 4. This again parted the seas, kind of like similar to what we saw with Derek Wang in the Master Shift or in X30 Master. Opened up the seas for Brendan Lemke, who again was just kind of buying his time, waiting for something to happen. And, lo and behold, the last lap, it was all him. Again, you only needed to lead that one lap. And
that's exactly it, man.
As the seas parted, there was nobody behind him because, again, there was still a scramble for position. He was in the right moment. He was in the right position at the right time and was able to cross the start-finish line as the winner for a second straight time.
Yeah,
this time it stuck.
It was wild as it was happening because I'm calling the turn. Mike and I are calling the turn 1 wreck. Then we got the chaos in turn 4 where they kind of pushed out wide. Zillage is in the wall. They're sideways. They're all on top of each other, and all you see is, like you said, kind of the seas parted, and all of a sudden, poof, out goes the Franklin Merlin. And it's in my mind, it's like, you got to be kidding me. You're getting this guy's leading to get the redemption. Please don't have a pushback bumper. I want this story to be real. That was amazing. Last lap. And like you said, over a second advantage, I think, at the line for Lemke.
Yeah, seas parted. I mean, that's all you can say. People were looking down on him, certainly making things kind of happen the way they did. And again, Jamie Siraki, Franklin Motorsports, up in our EKN tower, Cooper Tire Tower. And he's like, guys, don't hug me yet. We're not done yet. Wait till he comes around with a checkered flag, guys. Let's not celebrate just yet.
That's very, very true. Yep.
So, and again, he did wait till they came around and was coming around for the podium ceremony with the checkered flag in hand. So they did wait for that. A number of different penalties. We ended up with Trey Brown crossing the line in the second position, Oliver Calvo in the third spot, Paulie Massimino fourth, and then Nicholas Trelacki in fifth. Calvo was a penalty for contact, while Massimino received a pushback bumper penalty. So that knocked those two off the podium. That moved Nicholas Trelacki up into the third spot, who advanced 22 positions in that race. Wow. So red flag certainly helped him get a lot more positions. Kyriakos Soukis, right? Did I say that right? Kyriakos.
No S. Kyriakos Soukis.
Kyriakos Soukis. That's what it was. Up 10 spots to the fourth spot. And then Marco Felice in the fifth position, up 27 spots. So again, red flag helped out. No.
What?
Hard Charger was in the sixth position. Max Opolsky up 29 spots to 6. Wow. So a hard charger for him. He actually had to go through the LCQ to get into the main event on Super Sunday. So almost on the podium, one spot short. Again, red flag certainly helped out a number of different drivers in that. Nick Bruckner, another great story.
I was going to say, let's talk about Nick before we're done here, okay?
Yeah, up 27 spots, another driver that was in the LCQ up to finish in a top 10. So I'll let you talk more about Nick.
Let's do this before we go Bruckner.
Okay.
Connor's onboard has 11,000. I literally just went over and looked. I was looking at YouTube real quickly, and I looked over and I went, "Oh, what?" Yeah, I want to watch that whole onboard. 11,000 views already for Connor Zilich's onboard. That'd be fun to watch. I haven't got a chance to see it yet. That would have been good before the show.
Yeah, and we should have put some EKN audio to it too.
We could do the overview. Could have overlaid it. For him. So yeah, Nick Bruckner, obviously, I think, for those of you maybe who have followed the sport a little bit, Nick's a young man out of Texas who is in a second battle with cancer and has been battling like crazy. But this is a guy who's got so much heart. He's just such a great young man. We've followed him through his cadet career. He wants to come and run. Ends up having to go through the LCQ. Qualifies through the last chance qualifier, just absolutely digging in and showing his will and determination, and then ends up running through, David, from the LCQ to finish 11th, I think.
10th.
Was it 11th? He finished top 10 with the penalties.
With the penalties,
he ends up finishing top 10. In my mind, one of the best stories of this year's SuperNationals for Nick to be able to get that done. What an absolute! He literally put off a chemotherapy.
I was just going to say that. Yep.
to be able to come to the SuperNationals. That's, to me, that's just that's spirit right there.
Well, we know how much Nick loves this sport, and he loves the people too. He really he misses Greenemeyers, a lot of different families that he came in as a kid, started in the micro division racing nationally, knows a lot of the same people that we've been following year after year. And he could have, he was one of those kids that, he won at Challenge of the Americas. He's won a number of different events as a junior and as a cadet driver. So, great to see him. It's just a passion. He just has a passion for it. He's like, you know what? I can wait. Chemo can wait.
That's it.
He grew out a little bit of hair in between and, built up his strength enough to be able to. And again, KA, I think, is that perfect category to be able to do that. He has the racing. He has the racing ability to do it, and great to see it work out. Yeah,
back with his crew at Orsalon Racing, who he won many races with, and it was great. It was good to see Nick on the number one on the entry list. Good to see him trackside, and then of course, like I said, to get to the top 10, Nick Bruckner. I'm Team Bruckner all the way around. That's awesome. I know many people are as well.
I was going to say, I think we all are in the karting community.
I think so. I think 100%. We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network.
Wins at the sport's biggest races and championships across all levels of karting make up the resume for Nitro Kart. The Nitro Kart has made its statement as the best, fastest, and most reliable cadet chassis on the North American karting market. The 2021 Cadet is the evolution of that success, featuring the latest development and components to put you at the front. If you want to win in Cadet, get a Nitro Kart and join the team. The Nitro Kart Cadet claimed 5 victories at the SCUSA Pro Tour, including the Mini Swift Championship in 2020. At the United States Pro Kart Series, Nitro Kart Cadet earned 5 wins and 14 podiums in mini and micro competition. For a second straight year, Nitro Kart won the U.S. Rotax Grand Nationals in the Minimax division, bringing the title total to 4 in 4 years. If you've seen it on track, it certainly caught your eye. Dominating the 4-cycle world is the Nitro Kart Lefty chassis. The chassis is designed for the Briggs & Stratton 206 engine with a left side mount for better weight distribution. The Lefty is available in cadet and full-size frames. The Nitro Kart Lefty won the CKNA Grand Nationals 4 in both sportsman and junior categories, with fast time in qualifying for the senior division. Drivers with the Lefty were ranked number 1 in the Briggs & Stratton Weekly Racing Series for junior and cadet divisions. Team Nitro Kart will be at all major events in 2021 with programs tailored to every driver's needs. Focused on driver development, the cadet program under Team Nitro Kart has helped develop some of today's stars, including Brent Cruz, Parker DeLong, Ben Mayer, and Spencer Conrad. Visit Nitro Kart online and find them on Facebook and Instagram.
In racing, experience is priceless. Franklin Motorsports is a leader in the karting industry with over 50 years of combined karting experience, and we can provide you with everything you need to go racing. With a large online product selection, select track support events, and a wide variety of shop services, Franklin Motorsports is your complete karting source. Check out our online store at www.franklinkart.com, where all our products are just a mouse click away. We're constantly adding to the growing product selection on the online store, and we ship daily to ensure products get to you quickly. We specialize in IAME engines, tilt seats, ceramic products, driveline branded products, Briggs & Stratton engines, OTK products, and of course, the championship-winning Merlin chassis. In our online store, you'll find a variety of items to fill your karting needs. Franklin Motorsports is also known for our wide variety of services and is home to Innovative Engine Works by FMS, our in-house engine service department. Frame straightening, kart prep, and dyno testing are all services offered regularly at Franklin Motorsports. For all things karting, visit franklinkart.com. Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. All right, let's move into the next category. Again, this race report brought to you by Trinity Karting Group. Let's go X30C. Or do you want to go Pro Shifter, David, to potentially have X30, a guest maybe make it in time?
No, I think we can continue on. I'll check and see what the outlook is on that.
All right, let's go to X30 Senior.
You're gonna have to talk about it then.
What's that?
You're gonna have to talk about it while I do my work here.
Here's the headline: Patience pays off for Norberg to claim first SuperNationals. Again, this is the Norberg story comes in later on. Out of the gate in qualifying, and again, qualifying was pretty solid. Jake Drew for GFC karting, Gary Carlton's team, able to put down the magic lap in qualifying. And again, one of the qualifying. What's that, David?
I got the timepiece.
I'll get to that. I'll get to that. Hey, we'll start with that. Yeah. By qualifying on pole and the way that they've always done something different with Superkarts USA with their relationship with BRM, the luxury timepiece manufacturer. And it's gone to Masters guys, whatever. This year, they decided to give it to the pole, one of the two watches to the pole in X30 Senior. Jake Drew ends up winning it. David, one of the things I liked about it, I don't think we've touched really much on this. I like what they did for qualifying this year. Instead, so they have a 15-minute window for each class, 2 15-minute windows if the class is larger. They broke it down into 5-minute runs, 5 lap runs, 7-minute sessions, 5 lap runs for everybody. It got rid of the crap that we've seen over the years where guys go out, they either wait on the grid or they go out and putt around. They're looking to try to find the fast guy, and it ends up catching other guys. Literally, it was a 5-lap dash. Get out, get your tires warm, and see if you could do it. And for Jake Drew, David, getting it done on the final circuit, I believe, ends up putting on the pole, gets the pole for all his heat races, plus $4,000 watch on the wrist as well. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was basically A, B, C, D qualifying, where D was the slowest group, C was the second slowest, B was the third slowest, and then A the quickest. So it helped, very similar to what we've seen, other major events do. USPKS certainly has done this, especially at Ocala when you have such a small racetrack. It's like we got to split up these guys into smaller groups, and I think that helped. Again, you could go out with people, you could follow people, you could do what you want as you've done in the past, but it helped the track be open more so than being clustered, and provided an opportunity for guys, again, go out there, lay your lap down, and then pull off.
Less carts on the racetrack, so more room and more urgency. That's a pairing, right? That you got to you can't mess around, got to go get the job done. Jake Drew ends up qualifying on pole. Petro Hiltbrand running for PSL Karting ends up in second. And Hannah Greenmeyer, the Pro Tour champion, getting off to a great start. It wouldn't end that way for Hannah, but she came out of the gate strongly with good speed. It was in these heat races coming out of turn number 1, especially the first round, where guys were really, really getting hectic. They were really getting aggressive. We saw a number of guys 3 wide coming out of turn 1, right? Trying to make that work. A lot of contact, guys driving over top of each other, and a bunch of guys getting driven off into the side and into the barriers as well. I think we saw a lot of chaos, especially in the opening round of heats getting out of turn number 1.
Yeah, again, people trying to feel out the race track itself for racing conditions. And I think the nighttime too, I think, again, you're set. You figured out how the racetrack is during the day. It's a lot different at night in terms of visual aspect. And yeah, it wasn't as bad, but it just caught out a number of contenders that could have been competing for the victory. So I think that's kind of why it stood out. Aside from that, I think the starts were pretty good for at least the size of the field that we did have in X30. And as you said, Hannah Greenmeyer, one of them that got caught out, I believe it was in her opening heat race, second heat race. Second heat race. Yep. So
only one driver actually getting 2 wins. Otherwise, we had 4 different guys winning. Thomas Nepfu from Trinity Karting Group able to win both the first and second heat races for him. Other heat race winners were Hildbrand, Diego Conteca, Frankie Mossman stepping things up big time this year's SuperNationals. He was right in the fight. And of course, Ryan Norberg wrapping things up as the final heat race on round number 3 on Saturday afternoon. He was able to get a heat race win there. That put him P5 for the start, though, of Super Sunday.
It's interesting. Norberg got the last heat race win in X30 Senior, as Lemke did in KA100 Senior. So a little. So if you finish the last heat race, I mean, you're gonna win. It is. I mean, again, it's good because you've worked yourself up through the heat races, and if you're winning that last one, and we'll talk a little bit more. Thomas Nepfu won his first 2 heat races. We didn't really talk about him at all on Super Sunday. So it's almost better.
We did. He was in the top 6 the entire time.
Was in the top 6,
but he kind of was sliding backwards the entire race.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah.
Is that a
It was
product
within the
of
top 6.
he was good early and then not so much as the event moved on? Same with Jake Drew,
Well,
good
yep.
early. He had 2 runner-up finishes in the heat races, but we didn't really see him up front in the main event as well too.
So let's talk about the Super Sunday main event. Thomas Nepfu, Petro Hiltbrand on the front row, Diego Canteca, and Jake Drew, row number 2. Norberg, as we said, starting in the 5th position. Hiltbrand gets the whole shot and it eventually slots in early with Hiltbrand, Nepfu, Canteca, Drew, and Norberg. Norberg eventually gets shuffled back to P6. And actually, David, he fell back probably about 7 or 8 cart lengths as Zilic got into the top 5. And I was wondering, are they going to line up? Are they going to work together? The answer was no. Oh, man, the amount of racing that they did in that top 5 really is what allowed Norberg to come back into it, because had they not done that, I don't think Norberg would have been in the fight.
That certainly helped. And again, it was clean racing. But again, you're racing for the Supernationals. I think you had a lot of drivers who wanted to lead. You didn't have drivers who wanted to just we talked to Jeremy Fletcher. Fletcher, I think he would have been happy to kind of sit back and wait. And buy his opportunity. A lot of these guys in the senior division, they want to be the leaders. And that's kind of how it was. And so, yeah, you had a number of different lead changes, throughout that middle section of the race. Once,
I want to say everybody led.
I think so. I mean, I thought I had written down who had led. So we had Hildebrand led, Diego
maybe
led, Zilic led. No, Drew and Thomas Nepfu did not lead. So they were there, but didn't quite lead. So you had those 3 drivers essentially leading that group. And then as they were shuffling that for that position, as you said, that allowed Norberg to slowly close that gap back up and then make his way up through, again, 1 pass here, 1 pass there, 1 pass here, 1 pass there.
Yeah.
And then into the lead.
As soon as he got into the race, into that pack and made that first pass, my mind went, okay, this is going to be a Ryan Norberg deal where he just kind of handles things. I wrote it down because I watched it beforehand. He was 3rd by lap 13.
Right.
A lap and a half later went to 2nd. And on lap 17, he went to P1. And it was Canteca that kind of pushed it, tried to stay with him. They fought further back, right, between Hiltbrand and Zilic and Nepfu and Drew. They were scrapping it out behind him. Those 2 drivers tried to pull away. But Canteca just couldn't stay with him. And Ryan literally over the last, 5 laps, just put the laps down. It was textbook Ryan Norberg. I'm out front. I've got it done. Now I can stretch away to a win.
Well, it's funny because his fastest lap was on lap 17 of the race. Now, it wasn't the fastest lap of the race itself, but his fastest lap, which is a 46.0. And then he ran a 4, a 4, a 3, a 4, a 4, and a 4. So essentially all within a tenth of each other.
Yeah. And again, it's amazing stuff. And in the end, getting that win by just over a second. And if you go back and watch the video again, you love the fact he's rolling on the back straightaway, and you could see halfway down, he's been able to see what's behind him, starts pounding that steering wheel because David, the guy's won 4 Pro Tour championships. Those early championships too is when we were running the Pro Tour at the Supernats, right? So he's not thinking race win really is the number one thing. He wants to win the title first. And remember him and Jarsa Crack battling for it. They were more like mid-pack. They just really weren't in the front fight at all because
they weren't.
They were thinking championship. Again, we talked about what Derek Wang did to get that get that race win to put on his resume. This is I think absolutely massive for Ryan Norberg, simply because of what he's done over a body of work with 4 championships to be able to get that title now of a SuperNationals champion. I think that's just huge for him.
Oh, it's massive. I almost think it's better than the Pro Tour victory or championships myself, but just because it's, listen, there's so many people that pour so much into this one race. And it just, the way that this, again, you bring in all the international drivers. Again, he had to beat a former world champion in Pedro Hildebrand. Lorenzo Travisanato, we didn't even talk about him all week, and he was in the field. A lot of other different world champions and top drivers in that field and former champions. And I think SuperNationals victory is it.
David, what you'd ask any IndyCar driver, and they would trade that IndyCar championship for an Indy 500 win.
Oh, without a doubt,
That's the same thing, right? Yeah.
It's kind of that same feeling. And again, this is that one race. You can build up all season long to this race. You could
You could finish second. You could finish second every race on the Pro Tour and win the championship.
I think
right?
if you asked Jordan Musser, I think he would gladly trade in any of those road tax championships for a Super Nationals victory. But, in the end, ended up being, we talked to Norberg a lot this year in a lot of our face-to-face or interviews and stuff like that. He's changed that mindset of he can't race as a championship. And I almost think he didn't have to race aggressively in this one. It just kind of came to him. He was in the right position at the right time, and he was able to get the cart where it needed to be in order to be in contention for Super Sunday. So really, I don't think there wasn't anything. We wanted to get him online. He's actually doing another show right now, but
shame.
Yeah. So I don't really think he changed anything. What do you think on that? Because I think it's the Ryan Norberg that we were used to seeing. He's just, again, in the right position at the right time. And when he had to lay down the laps, he did.
Personally, for me, and I want to say I mentioned it in the TV broadcast, which I've done the voiceover for that already. And I think it's already aired at least once over in Europe. It'll be airing, I think, in January on MAV TV. But I mentioned that in an X30 race like that, when things have settled in, you've got your front six, and you've got 10 to go or everybody to go. It's a chess match. That's why the guys are going back and forth, because it's a chess match, right? People are trying to figure, you're trying to, you got 5 guys around you, and you're trying to find out where they're faster. We talked about Ryan, into Joey Wimsatt. He was trying to figure out where they were quicker than him. He was geared a little differently. So when you're battling, it's a chess match. You're trying to find out what your competition's like, where they're better than you potentially, and then you go to work, right? Make sure you get yourself into the right spot. And literally, we'll be able to go back and look at that video and see this methodical progression from 6th once he got to the tail of the field, and then just started working his way forward. I don't know that Ryan lost more than one spot. He might not have lost any spots. He might have just immediately got there and then moved forward. Other guys were going forward and backwards, and I have a feeling that Ryan just kept going forward. And once he got up front, he's talked many times about being able to put those magic laps and those consistent laps. And you rolled out how fast he was, his speeds over the last 5 laps, David. And that's what it takes to be able to run away when guys behind you start fighting.
Yeah, fell to 6 on lap 2, and that was the furthest back he went. And then once lap 12 came, that's when he started moving forward. Never fell back.
Lap 13 took the lead, and away he went from there.
So, as you mentioned, Diego Canteca finishing in the 2nd position, so runner-up for the Colombian. Pedro Hildenbrand, the world champion, finishing in 3rd. Connor Zillage ended up finishing in 4th with Thomas Nevu, the Canadian, in the 5th spot. And again, no pushback bumper penalties in any of these drivers in the top 5. So the racing was all clean. That was an impressive run by all these drivers. Yeah, there were probably some in the back that we're not mentioning, but fast lap of the race went to Colin Warren, the Florida driver and the 2-time Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals winner.
Yes, guy, yeah.
Drove up to the 10th spot from 19th, but the hard charger of the race was actually Trey Brown, who had to use a provisional to get into the field. He used a 2020 provisional, if I recall correctly, and ended up going from 42nd into the 14th position.
Wow. And again, full 28 position improvement. Yep. And listen, think about this. How about what a weekend for Trey Brown? Guy ends up finishing 2nd in KA 100 senior, and then a good run up to 14th in the.
So I think we need a hard charger award. Maybe $100 here, $200 there, something.
I agree.
Or set of MG tires. I think now that we're working with Race Hero, we got this amazing software to be able to tell us right away who hard charger is. I think that's one of the things we need to work with SCUSA and other programs who use the Race Hero program to do. So again, a simple set of tires or something.
100% on board.
I'm not the promoter. I can't do it.
But we make suggestions, right? I think it's a great idea. Whatever it is, I don't. Whatever it is, something, because that hard charger, when you have that issue and you're able to work your way forward, especially without a pushback bumper too. Let's be real. If you got hard charger without a pushback,
let me see. I can double check. I'll double check just to see if his number. Yeah, really, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pushback bumper penalties in a field of 43. And he did not get one. Yeah. He
did not get one. Well done, Trey Brown. Good for you, man. And Trey, of course, veteran driver in the Superkarts USA program and at the SuperNats as well. I wonder how many SuperNats he's been in. Trey has
not very many. No,
really.
Yeah, no, that's one thing. They
That
have not
surprises me.
raced the SuperNationals much. That's something I mentioned. I looked at when I was doing the previews for this category. He didn't have a
Okay.
lot of SuperNationals races under his belt. I'm going to give you exactly how many that is
That would
in like 2
surprise me.
seconds. Yeah,
For a
he
guy
had X30 Junior in 2017, and then a X30 Senior race in 2018. Was not there in 2019.
That's it. Wow.
2
I thought
races.
I
So
would
this
have
only
I would have said way more than that.
yeah, so only
Well,
his third SuperNationals race.
Good for him. Anyways, wrapping it up, Ryan Norberg, not only a 4-time Superkarts USA Pro Tour champion, now a SuperNationals winner. We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. There's a new hot button name in American safety equipment, Stilo USA. Every product with Stilo is focused on safety, comfort, and function. Stilo USA is happy to provide you with the proper safety apparel to keep you protected on the track, and their karting lineup is second to none. The ST5 KRT karting helmet is available for $599. Manufactured using a lightweight and extremely strong composite material, the KRT provides an excellent fit and comfort level due to its dual density interior foam lining, and it's equipped with a symmetrical visor that offers excellent vision and an effortless central visor locking system. The ST5 CMR standard was developed jointly by the FIA Institute and Snell Memorial Foundation to ensure safer and lighter weight helmets for the younger karters. Drivers rave about the superior comfort levels, lightweight construction, and the unparalleled field of vision. The perfect youth helmet is available for $549. Stilo didn't stop with their helmets either. The newly developed Carbon Curva Rib Protector is unlike any on the market, with its form-fitting solution to offer superior protection. Head to StiloHelmets.com to review these and many more products to keep you safe on the track. Stilo. Any competition, one helmet. All over the karting world, everyone knows OTK is the gold standard for quality and performance. In the US, OTK USA is the source for all things OTK. From the legendary Tony Kart brand to the race-winning Cosmic and Esprit chassis, and now the new Red Speed and EOS brands, OTK quality is second to none. All 5 brands are winning races and championships across the country in national programs like the Rock Cup USA Florida Winter Tour and the Challenge of the Americas, the SCUSA Pro Tour and Winter Series, and the Pro Kart Challenge, the United States Pro Kart Series, and the WKA Manufacturers Cup. And OTK products are also front and center on the podium of club and regional races from coast to coast. To learn more about a specific product line, or to find the OTK USA dealer near you, whether it's Tony Kart, Cosmic, Esprit, Red Speed, or EOS, visit www.otkusa.com. Specific chassis territories are still available, so kart shops interested in adding a winning component to their product lineups can contact OTK USA directly. Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. All right, David, wrapping it up. Final one here. The race report brought to you by Trinity Karting Group. Let's go into Pro Shifter, and here is the headline. International stars dominate with Vajano taking the 10K.
Yeah, it's something we didn't really put in our predictions with the international drivers coming over and kind of showing us, the shifter kart ways. Again, something we've seen. It's something we've seen in the headline category since 2007 when Marco Artigo came over and scored his first SuperNationals victory. We've seen a number of international drivers come in and take that big $10,000 purse or check to win that race. I think Gary Carlton is the only American to win since that time, since 2007 in what we consider now the headline category, because we can't really combine the S1, division into this. I mean, we can in terms of wins, but I think when you look at this overall, I think you kind of have to go with that KZ route in terms of past victories. So, but it was an American that was set fast time in qualifying, and it was the guy I picked to win it all, and AJ Myers. AJ Myers put down the flyer in qualifying, was able to set the fast time ahead of Matteo Vigiano with Danny Formal, last year's KZ winner, in the third position. Unfortunately, a lost bumper on the last lap of the opening heat race relegated. I'm going to try and find the number. Relegated Myers down to the 46th position. So the opening heat race was not kind to the top qualifier.
$3,000 for qualifying on the pole. We talked to him afterwards, and we did our YouTube interview, our Paddock Insider YouTube interview. We'll do a lot more of those in 2022. But yeah, that really put Myers on the back foot. And looking at, in calling the main event for the TV, the production, and then again watching it today, I felt bad for him because he was so fast. Literally, as he worked his way back through the field, and we'll talk about it here, he was turning the lap times exactly the same as Vigiano at one point midway through. David, Vigiano was able to get that heat race, the opening heat race. How about Myers coming back in the second heat race? Obviously was pretty pissed off, I would think, and then he was able to fight his way back to get the race win there, right?
Yeah, I would think that. So he came back and won that opening heat, or the second heat race, ahead of Formal Vigiano in the third position. A little bit of argy-bargy in the third heat race as Myers was dropped back down to 8th spot as Vigiano went on to win that race ahead of Martin Kremers, who I didn't pick to be in the top 5, and I heard that from the PSL tent. And then Formal in the third position. So essentially it set up Vigiano, Formal, Kremers, and Jake French as your starting lineup for the first 2 rows on the pole on Super Sunday. AJ Myers ended up starting in the 13th. What's that?
I said, "Where's my notes?" Pull my notes out because
AJ Myers ended up starting in the 13th position for Super Sunday.
And Danny Formal doing what he does, right? Gets the whole shot out of the gates and led the first 3 laps. He led with Vigiano right behind him, and Kremers was right there as well. It was interesting that the pass essentially was the pass for the lead for the win when Vigiano went by Formal, pretty aggressive in turn number 1. It was kind of a late move down to the inside and kind of got some contact and pushed him wide. Kremers, I think, was able to get by Formal as well.
Yes,
in that move.
It wasn't hard contact. It was just that side by side little nudge, but just enough to where I think Formal kind of slipped up in applying the throttle down. And it gave just enough room for Kremers to kind of slip past as well too. So Formal dropped from 1st to 3rd, and essentially that was the race. I mean, that's what it was.
That's it. That's what it was. AJ Myers started 13th, as you said, by my notes, up to 7th by lap number 8. Then he went to work at that point. Was able to reel in, I think, Brent Cruz, and because Cruz was battling with Jake French. French had been battling with Longy for a while. Longy went by. And then Cruz got up to French, and then literally Myers just came up, took one lap. He took Cruz, and maybe the next lap, might have been even the next lap or the lap after, was able to get by French. 2 laps, able to get by French. And the one thing about AJ too is he was smart with it. He didn't make the move. He didn't when he got, because I was saying like if he wants to catch Vigiano, which I thought I thought, you know what, depends on what kind of lap times he can put down.
Well, and you never know. Red flag. We've seen a red flag that day, and then we saw a red flag in 2018 when Kremers was leading. Red flag came out, and he lost in that race as well too.
So instead of going by like making the dive bomb move into the chicane 9A 9B, was able to get an easy run and make it where he could get the speed done in turn 1. So again, Myers, you got to give it up. He ends up P5. You think that if you come in and you get a win, an 8th, and a 46th position in the heat races, are you going to be able to battle for the podium? Normally, you'd say you're probably not. You're going to be in trouble. But AJ Myers is a special kid. That Magic Kart program with Checkered Motorsports has put together a really tremendous program. And the kid literally is the number 1 ranked driver in the country in shifter karts, and I think really showed it here this week when he was able to step up and work his way onto the podium.
Yeah, again, and it's a place that really kind of kicked it off 2014 when he finished 5th. In the KZ division that year. And I mean, that's what turned me on to watching what he's doing, because when you go up against, I mean, again, KZ at that time was all international. You had a couple Americans, a couple Canadians in there, but aside from Gary Carlton, nobody was really competing with them. And then along came Myers, who wasn't allowed to race S1 because
they wouldn't give him his A license.
So he's like,
right.
I'll go race KZ, and he did it with again Checkered Motorsports and PCR at that time, and was able to do that. So again, yeah, he is certainly over the last 5 years probably the top shifter kart driver we have in this country.
I would say so. Yeah, even with Billy Musgrave winning a bunch of S1 and pro shifter SuperNats races, he's the guy. No
he's
doubt.
Got again. See, Musgrave's got the 4 SuperNational wins.
That's right. That's
3, but 3 recently. One was an S2 a few years back.
Yep.
And then Myers has 3 championships. I mean, but he's winning every single race aside from the SuperNational. So, I would kind of keep it 50-50 there.
I would too. I would too. That's funny. Let's talk about it ends up shaking down with Martin Kremers in second and Danny Formal third. They fought it out over the last couple laps to see, and it looked to me mid race to the end of the race, and Mike Smith and I were calling it. Kremers was having some trouble. It was like mid corner. He had like a mid corner push a little bit oversteer mid corner, and that would allow Formal to close up. Just wasn't able to pull the trigger to get by him. Otherwise, overall, anytime Danny doesn't win, he's not happy. Same with Kremers. I think he really was there to get the redemption. He was not able to do that. He ends up in second and Danny Formal third.
Yeah, 3 straight years for Kremers in the runner-up position. So it's kind of like, this is his nemesis. Well, we'll see. Again, it depends on what he does for the 2022 season, with car stuff, karting. I think if the schedule allows him to be here, I think it'll switch back on and be like, man, I got to go back and get that.
Yeah, right. Ricardo Longhi was fourth. As we said, AJ Myers in fifth. The 6th and 7th battle I thought was really good because it was Brent Cruz battling it out with Jake French, and Cruz made a deep move into turn number 1. Maybe a little more aggressive, but he obviously got the job done. But it eventually came with a 3-second incident penalty as well. But I thought at 13 years of age, Brent Cruz acquitted himself very well. I think I picked him to be in the top 5, mainly because you and I didn't really leave enough probably props for the Italian guys that were coming in to run. But hey, Cruz did a good job, I thought. Top 10 guy and finished legitimately 6th on the racetrack. Although
6th on the racetrack. Yeah.
The penalty for punting French put him back to what
it was actually a 5-second penalty. So it moved him back to the 8th spot, allowed David Foray, another world champion, 47 years old, racing out there, moved up 10 positions to the 7th spot in the final classifications. Austin Garrison, great to see him in the top 10, finishing 9th, and then Hunter Pickett, the dad of the field, into the 10th position. He's a dad, There's not a lot of dads in this field. Maybe Foray is about the only one.
Whoa, he's a dad.
Hunter Pickett's a dad now.
Oh my goodness!
I know that you're old, Rob.
What is happening in my world?
Hard charger of the race, though. He talked about how fast the Magic Kart is. Vincenzo Saraceno moving over to Magic Kart USA, moved up 20 spots to 13th in the main.
Wow. Nicely done. That's solid for sure. Bottom line is that Matteo Vigiano ends up winning $10,000, hands the helmet over to Tom Kutcher to add to the collection with guys like you said, David. Look at some of the names that, the Marco Artigos, the Anthony Abbas, the Gary Carltons, these guys that have won these big races and passed that helmet over to get the 10 Gs. It was, and listen, let's cap it off with this. Burrell Art had a good day. They had a good SuperNationals in Pro Shifter. What did it end up being, David? Was it? It was 3 of the top 5 and
3 of the top 6.
4 of the top 6.
4 in the top 6. 4 in the top 6.
Vigiano, Kremers, Longhi, and French. The Burrell Art package was very, very good throughout the weekend.
Even with Pedro Hiltebant in X30 Senior as well too. They had a pretty good Super Sunday in the 2 headline categories.
Are you saying Ryan's now available? Do we want to try to get Ryan or not?
I just told him we were wrapping it up, but
good enough. He was busy. We would love to talk to Ryan Norbert, but a little too busy. We'll get him on down the line. We pause this show for a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. Made in the USA. That's exactly what you get from Precision Karting Technologies. Based in Detroit, Michigan, PKT brings over 35 years of manufacturing experience to the sport of karting. Their passion for the sport began focusing around the Kid Kart platform and has expanded every year with hundreds of products designed to put you on the podium. Precision Karting Technologies is known around North America for their successful line of axles, available in all age groups. PKT manufactures a number of engine products for Comer, IAME, Rock, Rotax, and the popular Briggs & Stratton 206. A wide variety of chassis components for the many brands in the sport are available through PKT, including hubs, pedal risers, skid plates, and other hardware for your kart. Axle straightening, chassis adjustments, engine service, and specific CNC machining projects are available through their Motor City headquarters. To learn more about the many products and services available from Precision Karting Technologies, head to pktaxles.com. If you're searching for a program to elevate you in the motorsports ladder, Crosslink Competition is your next step. Crosslink Competition provides arrive and drive programs that include driver coaching, data analysis, and an engine rental program for all major events in the 2021 season. Team Crosslink is scheduled to compete at the Superkarts USA Pro Tour, Rock Cup USA, and the United States Pro Kart Series events, along with regional and local programs from their home base in Texas. Crosslink Competition is a full retail shop for the Esprit chassis and OTK kart parts. Many new and used packages are available right now through their Dallas headquarters. For drivers interested in making the jump from karting to cars, Crosslink provides a streamlined opportunity for you. Team Crosslink and Kiwi Motorsports is a championship-winning operation in the F4 United States Championship program, providing the perfect transition within the same. Drivers looking to compete with the elite level karting program or pick up gently used team equipment are asked to call 214-432-4413. Be sure to follow them on all social media platforms at Team Crosslink. Thank you for listening to the EKN Radio Network. We now join the show already in progress. All right, David. Let's go Constructors Championship. Let's talk about the chassis that we're winning. I kind of spun into that a little bit, talking about Barella. Give us the lineup of who was able to score race wins.
Yeah, I mean, we saw yesterday, as we talked about yesterday, the only driver to win twice is the only chassis to double up in the win column, with Tony Kart getting 2 wins in X30 Junior and KA Junior. Bennett scoring 1 and Nitro Kart scoring 1 in Mini and Micro. For these categories, the Charles Leclerc chassis with Matteo Vigiano winning, Cosmic with Ryan Norberg. We have the Merlin winning with the Brandon Lemke victory in KA100 Senior. The Esprit in the X30 Master with Derek Wang, and then the DR Kart in Master Shifter with Joey Wimsett.
So literally what? How many was that? So 3 Tony Kart wins, 4 all total with the different brands. OTK. For OTK.
4 OTK wins there out of the 9 categories, but essentially 8 chassis brands total for the 9 categories.
Let's get into the predictions. Let's wrap up the predictions because I have been thoroughly thrashed over the last couple of years in our predictions, but this year I actually squeaked out a 3-point prediction win.
Let's go to no, it wasn't your worst score, but it was your worst score, I think, of these categories. No, it wasn't actually, because that was a pretty good score. I'll show you yours. Here you go.
Where are we starting?
Master Shifter. Yeah.
Master Shifter. I only got 4 points here, but I got one. I got 1, 2,
4
3
drivers in the top 5.
I got 4 drivers in the top 5, but nobody in the right spot, right?
That is correct, my friend, because you picked Jordan Musser to win. You were going with the Texan.
Yeah.
Guess who I went with?
I
went with Joey Wimsett.
Yeah, you did. So you got Wimsett in the right spot. You got Kinnear in the right spot. That was it, right?
No, Kinnear ended up finishing second. See, if Musser wouldn't have got that pushback bumper penalty, I would have almost had a perfect score. But John Crow screwed things up because I would have picked him
John Crow
fourth.
didn't enter. He didn't enter.
So that screwed it up because I would have put him 4th and I would have put Sketchy Barnes in 5th and I would have had a perfect score. So I
might have had a perfect score.
John Crow owes me In-N-Out Burger.
I agree with that. I 100% agree with this. So that's a 4-point run for Rob and a 9-point. Is 9 points the most of any of it? Was that the best one of the year of the
That
weekend?
was the best one. That was the best one of Super Sunday.
Pretty
so
solid,
I get a little star for myself there.
If it makes you feel happy and allows you to sleep
It
tonight
does.
in the shadow of this horrible defeat of by Rob,
I shall break you.
All right,
You
here
gotta
we
wait
go.
another 300 something days.
X30 Master. Yeah, I do. It's kind of like redemption, like Lemke had to, right?
So I end up with 4 of the top 5, which is solid because I picked Danilo Ramalho, who I was so impressed with at the Winter Nationals. What do I end up with?
4
did
points.
anybody get any?
You had all the top 4. You're just in the wrong positions.
Just in the wrong spots. Yep. Yeah. How
Yeah,
about you,
you
Dave?
had-
What'd you end up with? Where'd you look?
Well,
David. David, that's
Johnson
embarrassing.
came close to winning. We could have both scored, points on that one. So
You didn't.
Johnson came up short.
Yep.
I did have Renato David in there. Scott Kopp did not exactly have a good Super Sunday or good week leading up to Super Sunday. And then he was making his way up close towards the top 5. And then something happened. As he said, he ran out of talent. So very similar to Bonner Moulton. He ran out of talent on the pace lap. And then Mario Barrios was just never in that top 5 category. He was, I think, in the top 10.
He didn't. He struck.
But just was never in that position. Again, these guys were good all season long, and just they kind of let me down. So I'm going to have to pick Derek Wang next year, just to make up for it.
Yeah, you will. I agree. All right, let's. So I end up getting 4 there. You got 2 KA100 Senior. You and I both shit the bed here.
It was not good.
No. Well, listen, there was a lot of wrecking going on. Who did I end up? All I got was Lemke, right? I picked Lemke to be in the top 5, and he ends up winning.
Yep, and he ends up winning. You had Massimino, Zillage, Cruz, and Cole Morgan as your top 4, and then having Brendan Lemke there in 5th spot. So, yeah, you only got 1 point there, but don't worry because, Rob, I only got 1 point as well, too.
You did.
That was
For
Brendan
Lemke.
Lemke. Unfortunately, he won, and I had him finishing in 4th.
Yeah.
As we said, Zillage came close to winning. I almost got that one. That would have been a great 0 to hero moment for me, and and maybe him too.
Yeah, he might have enjoyed that. Being
Alex
backwards in turn number 1.
Alex Powell actually sat out the KA100 Senior category, didn't even race, so that kind of hurt me there. And then Alex Stanfield didn't exactly produce in that category as well. And then Massimino got the penalty to take him off the podium, so that cost me points there in the KA100 Senior division.
I'll give you this: Stanfield really wasn't really there in KA100 Senior, but he did have a really good weekend in X30 Senior.
He did. I just wrong class. I picked the wrong class to have the opportunity for him to score me points.
Hold on.
Let's see, where did he finish? I don't think he even finished. Yeah, I don't even think. He finished 18th. There we go.
18th. All right. Hey, hold on. Here's the big one for me.
Oh,
7 points in X30 Senior, David.
Coming up. There you go.
Look at that. I picked the winner, which is awesome. Pick the winner.
That was your biggest moment in this class, was picking the winner.
I got because why do I have 7? How is it? It's 5. How much is to win?
You had Zillage, so it's 5 for picking correct, and then you had 2 in the top 5. Didn't Connor Zillage finish 5th?
5 plus the 2. Yeah.
Zillage finished. Where did Zillage finish?
He finished 4th.
4th, yeah. So you had 2 in the top 5. So 5 plus 2 is 7.
Lorenzo, like you said, kind of struggled. He ended up finishing 12th on the weekend all total. Nate Cicero was kind of quick, but he had to take a provisional because he had issues in the heat races. He was trying to come forward with Hannah Greenmeyer. Where did Nate end up finishing?
Let me go back.
I'm scrolling. Oh, he finished 16th.
Yeah. And
16th.
And Danny Curl looked good early on. Again, didn't have that main event, and I think he retired actually early. Yeah,
opening
number
lap.
1.
He got taken at opening lap. Yeah. So, I was feeling pretty good because Danny was actually looking pretty strong, and obviously the Kart Republic was good with Thomas Nepvu. They had a good deal there. That was one thing we didn't bring up, and I had looked at this in senior. Cool thing about the top 6 drivers, David, 6 different teams of the top 6 that were in that fight. We didn't have, normally sometimes we've seen 4 guys from Rawlson Performance Group up front or whatever, right? It was Rawlson for Norberg, Orsalon for Conteka, PSL for Hiltbrand, Nitro Kart for Zillage, Trinity for Nepvu, and GFC for Jake Drew.
And then Jake Craig by himself in 7th.
Yeah.
And then Ryan Perry
as
Motorsports
RPM, right?
in 8th. Yeah.
Who was Jake Craig running with?
by himself, essentially out of the Richie Ho trailer.
Oh, I like that. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So,
but I just thought that was kind of cool, and just
actually,
so
the
see
top
that
10,
here,
top 11, top 12. I mean, really, the top 12, all different teams.
Who was Dalton Haynes running for? I thought he was running with.
He was under the Leading Edge Motorsports tent, is what I recall.
Okay.
And then Colin Warren racing with Chad Donner Racing, and then Alex Stanfield with Crosslink in 11th, and then Lorenzo Travisanato with Parolin.
Why do you keep saying Travisanato? It's Nuto.
Travisanato. Sorry.
There you go.
I see an A, and I want to say A.
Yeah, Travisanato.
Nuto.
Anyways, yeah. So Lorenzo didn't step up to at least give me what I needed, but I'll take my 7 there, David. Because what did you get next 30 senior?
I had Lorenzo winning it, so that kind of threw me off. Yeah. And did not help me there. I had Hannah Greenmeyer in second spot. Again, had to use a provisional, kind of like your Nate Cicero selection. I did get Connor Zillage in there, so I did get 1 point for that. Danny Curl not making the top 5, as we just talked about with your prediction. And then I had Ryan Norberg in 5th spot. I thought, it looked like he was going to be 5th, but he kept moving up. Damn it!
Just felt like Ryan was due. He was due.
He was due, and you called that good. You called it very similar on me calling the Joey Wimsett one. So those were the 2 wins that we differed, because we both had Keelan Harvick winning.
Yeah.
So you had your Ryan Norberg, and I had my Joey Wimsett.
So let's wrap it up with Pro Shifter.
There it is. And
I was thinking Danny Formal was going to get it. Obviously, AJ Myers I had in the hunt. I think you did as well. Just didn't get the luck. It actually didn't play. It didn't play out as horribly as I thought it was. As it probably could have, because again, I had where the Brent Cruz was 6th really on the racetrack, but got the penalty. I got Kremers in the top 5. French I thought was going to be there, and he literally was top 5 throughout the entire weekend. Battled out with Long. He just didn't quite have it in the end. And AJ Myers fought his way to the top 5, and Formal was there. So I got 3 guys in the top 5. Right, that's what I got. I got 3 of the top 5, but nobody in the right spot.
Yeah, not a bad showing for you, really. It's pretty. I mean, all 5 were in contention, and you only got 3, so not bad. Unfortunately, you didn't pick anybody in the right position like I did.
What did you do, David? Oh, Jesus.
I got Danny Formal in the 3rd spot. Yeah, he hates me for picking him there, but I got him in 3rd spot.
But you finished there. This is a thing. When people go, you got me in 3rd? Yeah. And then you finish there?
And you finish there.
You have to shut up for the rest of your career.
Yeah,
I can't. If you finish exactly where we say, we were correct, you were wrong. So we'll say that.
Yeah, so that certainly helped me, make the damage not as bad as it was, because I only had Formal and Myers in the top 5, because I had Jake French finishing in 2nd. I had obviously Myers winning. Formal finishing in 3rd for me. Brent Cruz in 4th, again close, but my fifth place driver Kyle Wick, just not top 10 material, but just not quite there to be able to contend in top 5 on the Track Magic.
So the bottom line is this. It's a Rob Howden win, 36 points to 33 points. Probably the first time I've ever won a prediction game since we've started doing predictions.
If I recall, I think it is, Rob. So congratulations to you. Hail to the victors. Hail to the victors.
Appreciate that. Go Blue.
Go Blue. I hope Bailiff is watching. But, really looking at the numbers, you had 60% of your top 5 predictions in the top 5. So that's a good, 23 points there. I only had 55%, so 18 points. So that was essentially the determining factor, because
David, at 60%, away from you and I battling back and forth, it feels good that we're 60%, because the minute we walk into the paddock, we're literally lambasted by people. How did you pick me? You didn't pick me. I can literally say, listen, I was 60% correct last year. The people that I thought were going to be in the top 5. So that's a good. It's not like it's not like it's a 20%, man.
It's a passing grade. You can get a degree with that.
I almost graduated university with that. I need a couple more courses and I'll be done.
Well, I just stuck with high school. We won't go into college. I appreciate
another story. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't think I was 60% coming out of high school. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but so no. Congrats to you again. It was a fun competition. We had immense fun Sunday as we were discussing our predictions after each race. So it was a lot of fun.
Off air. That's right.
if Mike Smith does end up joining us again next year, that might be we might have to make it a 3-driver battle for the predictions next year.
Well, Mike did a great job. We'll give him props. He was he assimilated very quickly into what we do, and our voices I think match really well, and our temperaments. And I just thought he did a great job. It was awesome. And for a guy that I had a sore throat for some reason before I even got in there. My voice was garbage on Monday and Tuesday. I was able to kind of save it a little bit. You wait till the TV show, because my intro with Kevin Harris, it's a little scratchy. The Sunday after the last podium when we did the out, it is rough. It is gravel. Right. So I appreciate that Mike was able to step up and help out a little bit.
If you listen to the EKN radio network and the live audio broadcast that we did, your ins and outs that you did either Thursday morning or Wednesday morning were just about as bad. So
they were horrible. Yeah.
You know, I think you need to start prepping with those medicine balls a week ahead of time.
Agreed, 100% agree. I was just tired, man. I've been on the road for 3 weeks at that point.
That didn't help. I think you need to figure that out next year.
I agree. Well, let's see when it happens. Let's wrap things up, David, here for this edition of the Debrief. What are your thoughts on the new location, Las Vegas Motor Speedway? And your thoughts on Resorts World overall?
I think the location for the racetrack is a great backup plan. We missed that feeling of just walking out from the hotel to the racetrack. I think we missed that. I hope we can get something similar to that, like what we had at Westgate, where it was just across the street, or, something close to the Rio where it's just right out in the parking lot. That 20-minute drive from the hotel to the racetrack, it kind of took away, because that's what we do at every racetrack to begin with.
Yeah.
Kind of took away from that atmosphere. If it doesn't happen, Vegas is filling up. All the parking lots are getting taken. So it's kind of slim pickings in terms of Las Vegas for that. But I know Scooz is going to work hard at looking at other options and other locations. But I think to have that as kind of a backup plan, or the place that we're going to be at for maybe 2 or 3 years, I think it's going to work out. In terms of racetrack mode, and in terms of space and opportunities to be able to change different racetrack designs, and the way that we lay the paddock out, the way we're situated on the race course, the way other things are, the new hospitality center and the grandstands, a lot of different options with that location. And again, the host hotel was amazing, as we talked about last night. That, again, probably one of the best casinos we've ever stayed at.
Yeah, it was nice. I'll give my thoughts on the track. I really like Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I'll echo what you said about the fact that there's just real estate in Las Vegas is going away. They keep building more hotels, and they keep tightening up. Even where we were at the Las Vegas Convention Center across from Resorts World, there's still some pavement there, but I don't know that there's enough. Scusa, of course, knows what you need. There's a fence line inside, because Las Vegas Convention Center built a brand new deal right on where the old racetrack was. So all the opportunities of that downtown strip feel. We know Rock Vegas obviously had their spot, but they were in the back. They were supposed to have a larger part of a parking lot that we talked about. That got changed at the last minute. They were in a small bit of parking lot. The paddock was all scattered around other parking lots. It's we're going to get to the point where we're going to struggle for that elusive parking lot, that cool parking lot in Las Vegas. And I thought that the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, cool backdrop, number one, with the track there. Nellis Air Force Base, we got treated to essentially an air show every day with F-16s and helicopters and
bombers, refuelers, helicopters.
It was flipping awesome. It was wild. And then the hotel was fantastic, man. It was, I would bet just for this year, it was free parking. They had the parking kiosk set up. It's going to be more money next year. You might have to park out another parking lot to have it be free. But there was a gorgeous hotel. The rooms were fantastic. Food was a little expensive, but like I say, all you got to do is hop into an Uber or walk up the road to a Benihana or whatever.
Not the pizza place. 2 slices for $15, not bad.
That pizza was good.
It was good. And then the ice cream place, it was good. Yeah,
it was good. The food was great. And I went to we tried a couple different things. I thought it was awesome. Guys, that begs the question: where are we going to be next year? I don't know. I don't think Scusa knows right now. I think that they're probably licking their wounds after everything that's happened. There's no doubt in my mind that Scusa lost a ton of money on this program just because of everything that had to happen. And that's a shame, because this is a race they don't make as much money on as people think. I've seen the books. There's just so much involved in terms of hotel rooms. They had what 150 something staff for SCUSA at that race, and you got to remember food every day for them, hotel rooms. It costs a lot of money to put that race on. I don't know where it's going to be. I think it's going to be a crapshoot for everybody. We'll find out. Of course, SCUSA gets going again in a couple of weeks, David, for the winter series. They're right back at it. But where is SuperNats 25, that silver anniversary? That'll be something I think everybody wants to know.
I think those are the two factors, coming back for the 25th anniversary next year. I think that's going to bring up even some drivers who might have not been there the last decade. Even, maybe just let's throw something together, run X30 Master or Master Shift or like a Joey Wimsett, who's a driver at 30 years old. Like, let's try Pro Shifter one more time just to go do it. You're going to have your Bonner Moulton there again. We know he's going to be there. He
one
can't
more
say
time.
no. He's got to do it one more time.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have, hopefully, the border situation better than where we are at right now. Yeah, they kind of opened up a little bit, but we didn't have that influx of international drivers that we're used to seeing that, in 2018, 2019, and years before that as well, too. So I think that's going to elevate the numbers even higher. So I think we're going to have bigger fields. We're going to have more competitive fields. And I think it's going to be one event that you certainly want to put on the calendar for 2022.
I agree. All right, let's wrap things up here with this particular edition of the Debrief. Let's jump into the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar 2021. You're done. 2022, David, let's start talking about it. The EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar brought to you by Leading Edge Motorsports. Leading Edge Motorsports is the industry answer to winning in karting. At the helm is venture Greg Bell, who has orchestrated the success of countless drivers dating back to the mid-1990s. Leading Edge Motorsports is the West Coast importer and factory team for IP Karting, which manufactures the ultra-competitive Praga and Formula K chassis brands. In 2022, Leading Edge will be trackside at the SCUSA Pro Tour, Florida Winter Tour, United States Pro Kart Series, Stars Championship, California Pro Kart Challenge, and high-profile Rock Cup events. Contact us today to book your spot under the tent. Visit leadingedgemotorsports.com for more info or find them on Facebook and Instagram. At Leading Edge Motorsports, winning never gets old. So, David, there it is. Again, we're done with 2021. This debrief essentially shuts it down, right? 2021 is done. Another great year. We started things off, of course, back in January at the Winter Tour, rolling through all the events that we were at, and we're looking forward, of course, to 2022. We'll start it all off with the Superkarts USA Winter Series, January the 7th, 8th, and 9th, heading down to AMR Miami Homestead Motorplex, presented by
Homestead
MG Tires.
Miami. AMR Homestead Miami Motorplex, presented by MG Tires.
Is it Motorplex or Kartplex?
Motorplex.
It's Motorplex, presented by MG Tires, which now has grass.
It does have grass.
Pictures?
I finally got in contact with AMR, and they're going to be sending official photos here in the next day or two. They're waiting on wrapping up a couple more things. So again, they're going to wrap things up with the Sunshine State Karting Challenge. Championship. I don't know. It's 9:40, Rob.
I don't care. I know it's been a long day. Day.
So they're going to be there. I think they did have a club race there as well this past weekend. So they've already started racing on there. But again, they're waiting for a few more lines to get painted and some, make it really first class. And then they'll send up the drones to get some images of the racetrack and the way it looks. So
look forward to it.
Yeah, really excited to get down there.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We'll be there for that first weekend. Of course, all our EKN Trackside Live coverage. Then we'll cap off the weekend. 2 races, actually, in January. We're heading back out to the Challenge of the Americas, the opening round at Musselman Honda Circuit in Tucson, Arizona. The Challenge, its 15th year. We talk about the 25th anniversary of the SuperNationals, but the 15th year for Andy Saisman and his team there at the Challenge. They'll celebrate. And David, they've the momentum of this series over the last 4 years since picking up the Rock Cup program. They're looking at record numbers here. Somewhere around that 150 mark. It's growing like crazy. It has been consistently. And man, I'm excited to get back out there to Tucson and everybody at the Challenge.
Yeah, that category is going to tell us if the Canadians are ready to come back to the USA or not, because that's one program that suffered with the border closure. Yet they improved. They had growth in the program, and so now they're going to get back all those regular Canadian race teams and racers, and some new Canadians coming down. because again, Rock Cup program is pretty strong up there north of the border where you are. And, so looking forward to get back with Andy Saisman and the crew and kicking off 2022 with 2 solid events in January.
That's it. We'll be in Homestead. We'll be in Tucson, 2 great racetracks and 2 great programs as well. We hope you tune in again. But thank you so much for everything you guys have done throughout the season. Always great to get DMs from you guys over trackside, let you know that you're listening in. We love that. But again, 2021 was a fantastic season. We do thank all of our broadcast partners throughout the entire year. Big thank you to the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy who presented this particular show. But David, all the promoters that had us out there, everybody that we were able to work closely with. It was a great year of coverage here on ekartingnews.com. We'll do it all again. You ready?
Yeah, great job to all the scorekeepers. Terrible job to all the race directors.
There you go.
And then thank you to all the people who feed us as well, especially Trinity Karting Group. All the other pro teams that offer us food and beverages.
Literally, let's give a Trinity Karting Group shout out, because at the SuperNationals we get rolling at 10 o'clock, whatever it is, 10 something for
opening
the
ceremonies is like 10:30.
And then we don't stop until, we're literally race. So there's no time to eat. Trinity, Sean Bale and the crew have always invited us over to have dinner. They literally brought 2 lunches up for us that we kind of tried to wolf down when we weren't on the air. So, man, thank you so much for that, because otherwise, you and I would have been fading at the end of the day, and that was awesome. And again, thank you to the Zervis family for the buckets as well.
Yes, the ice bucket. Oh, yeah, I was going to put it next to me so I could show it. Hold on.
You should have did that. You don't get it? Hello, boy. David's going to go get the ice bucket. But again, big thank you to everybody who's tuned in. It's, what we do this for the passion for the sport, especially when we do our live debriefs after the day. I know we don't get a ton of people watching those, at least live, usually 30, 40, 50, 60 people, sometimes a little higher at times. But we know that you guys enjoy it. We have some fun at the hotel bar, and we're glad that people enjoy those debriefs. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're a good time. And again, we didn't really find a good spot for this year at the New Resorts World. It was loud everywhere, and people were all over the place. So it was very hard to narrow down one position like we had at the Rio. But, again, we'll figure that out. We got, over 300 days to figure that out for the SuperNationals 25.
I will say book it on the 2021 season. Thank you so much, folks. Again, on behalf of David Cole, my name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.